Good afternoon and welcome to Lowell Park, where the Cotuit Kettleers will be taking on the Chatham Anglers today. I'm Jacob Cohen alongside Caleb Coffman for your pregame show today, where we'll be recapping last night's 16-4 win over the Hyannis Harbortalks and prefacing today's matchup versus Chatham. And I'll turn it over to Caleb now to talk about the 16-4 blowout we had in Hyannis last night.
Well, the offense was firing on all cylinders last night for the Kettleers, as every starting batter came around to score in the game and was led by Matt Mervis going 4 for 6 on the game and bringing in 6 RBIs, and alongside a great pitching performance by everyone. Reed Johnson came out firing, going 3 innings, not giving up any runs on only 5 hits in the game. And before the game, Coach Roberts really emphasized the it factor, making sure the players gave maximum effort on every play. There's no such thing as taking a play off. And the team really responded to that. Everyone chased down every ball. Adam Oviedo with multiple great plays on defense, including one making a leaping grab, then hustling back to second to double up in the end of the 6th inning. And then also Kyle Nicholas at the end of the game having a stellar comebacker, snagging it and throwing it over to first to double up as well. Tuitt couldn't do anything wrong yesterday, it seemed. And everyone seemed pleased with it, especially Coach Roberts, who talked more about it in his post-game talk.
A big win, Coach, 16-4. My sources tell me that before the game at Lowell Park, you had a little meeting with the team stressing effort. Were you satisfied with the effort today?
Yeah, not because of the score. I go by each individual, and I thought the last 2 days against Falmouth, our effort was pretty marginal, and very pleased, not because of the score tonight, but the guys really did have a great effort, and it's our last meeting till the end of the season. There'll be no more effort meetings. You put out effort, you play. If you don't put out effort, you don't play.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, obviously 16 runs scored, the offense had a great game, but just looking at the pitching staff, they gave up, with runners in scoring position, the other team was 3 for 15. What does that speak to the poise of your pitching staff today?
Well, we did a good job. I mean, they could have scored quite a few runs early. We were really fortunate to get out of a couple of jams early. Reed fought and finessed it, didn't have great stuff tonight, but I appreciate his effort. But we were fortunate, and we got out of some jams, and then we were able to get the bats going a little bit. And I know Chad, head coach at Hyannis, like all of us right now, as we go through this stretch of day after day after day after day with no days off, all of us are really worried about pitching a great deal and whether or not we can all make it. So, I hope that we don't run into any nights where we're on the back end of something like this, but it could happen just because of lack of pitching for all 10 teams.
Just wondering, Kessler's obviously been out for an extended period of time, and Pasek has done a really good job of filling in. He had a tougher game at Falmouth, had a day off yesterday, and came back here. I think he's thrown 3 guys out now. How impressed have you been with him filling in for the team?
Well, he stepped up with Colton out with the injury and really played extremely well. Not only played well, he's just competed like you would want any young man to compete, and he's kept us in a lot of games because for 4 or 5 days we didn't have another catcher really, and we were fortunate to be able to bring our bullpen catcher on, but I didn't bring Jake to the league this year to actually catch in games. So Cody has stepped up really large for this team and kept us in the hunt to be, I think one of the quality teams. So I can't say anything but thank you to Cody.
So that was Coach Roberts after the game, and thank you, Caleb, for the recap. Now we turn it over to today's matchup against the Chatham Anglers. The Cotuit Kettleers have been a little spotty in their last 5, winning 3 of those 5, but with 2 bad losses to Falmouth. It's been another story entirely for the Chatham Anglers. They've won 6 of their last 7, including a 15-1 blowout over Yarmouth Dennis on July 1st. And including that game, Chatham has held their opponents to 1 run in 6 games this season, almost a third of their games, which may not bode well for Cotuit, with 2 games against Falmouth in which they scored only 1 run in each of those. In pitching, Cotuit's pitching staff outmatches Cotuit's a little bit. Their ERA is 3.48 to Cotuit's 4.09. At the plate as well, Cotuit's been very powerful in the month of July. They have the fourth best team average through the first week of the month so far at 273 against Cotuit's 254. Not bad, but a little lower. And those bats have really been powered by Jamal O'Gwyn and Caden Polkovich especially. They've just been knocking it out of the park quite literally very often. Jamal O'Gwyn, a lot of comparisons can be made to our very own Nick Gonzalez. He's reached base in 20 of 21 games the Anglers have played this season. He's also hitting .318, a very good batting average. And while he has been streaky over the last 7 games, going hitless in 3 of those, he has consistently been able to get on base through walks, again, akin to our very own Nick Gonzalez. Caden Polkovich has also been a force to be reckoned with at the plate. He's hitting .300 on the season, the second batter on Chatham to be doing so. But over the last 7, he's been hitting an incredible .400. This junior out of Oklahoma State is just going wild in these last few games. And both of these players, O'Gwyn and Polkovich, both have on-base percentages of over .430 on the season. The last 7, that's been an incredible .500 for both of them. So half of their plate appearances, these guys are getting on base, and they're a real danger to get on base and score. And the Cotuit pitching staff is really going to have to look at the scouting report, be aware of what these guys can hit, and throw great pitches, and not walk them as well. That's another problem Cotuit's been having. In these last 2 games at against Falmouth, before last night's win over Hyannis, they walked 12 batters in those 2 games and hit another with a pitch. And Chatham's been great at drawing walks. They have 99 on the season, so Cotuit's really going to need to hit their spots and be aware of that and try to prevent more runners from getting on base without having to swing the bat. And however, on our side, we have some new names whose bats are getting hot to try to combat O'Gwyn and Polkovich for Chatham. We have Joey Loperfido, Christian Robinson, and Matt Mervis. They're all been hitting great in the month of July as well. They're seeing the ball great. All 3 of them are hitting over .400 in the last 5 games they've played. Now, not all of them have played in the first 5 games of July. Coach Roberts has sat out some of them, but in today's starting lineup, all 3 are set to play, so he knows where his strengths are, and he's playing to the players who have been really strong as of late. And one other thing that's looking up for Cotuit is that discounting the 15-1 win that Chatham had over Yarmouth Dennis a few days ago, Chatham's last 5 games have been decided by a difference of only 1 run in each of them. And with Cotuit being the team to have the most recent big blowout, they're riding off the momentum of that, and it could be feasible that they get out ahead early and get a big win today over Chatham. So with that, we'll send it back up to Sam and Aram in the booth for today's call and the lineups.